Csabi? Nem. Nézd. Amikor kólakot
Center marker 3, 2, 1, off. Megvan. Ott van. Fönt. És center.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We are here in Tiszaujvaros in Hungary as we get ready for the junior women's final coming up in a few minutes' time. The semi-finals yesterday provided plenty of entertainment, but with the course being slightly extended for today's finals, who will be able to stand the heat in hot, hot Hungary this afternoon? A very busy day in Hungary with all of the semi-finals for the junior men and the junior women, and of course the elite athletes as well that we'll see later on today as it gets hotter and hotter here in Tiszaujvaros. Gillian will be joining us for the elite race. It's myself, Oliver Wilson, guiding you through all of the action with the junior men and junior women this morning. And I tell you what, some of these juniors will be very pleased to be going out earlier rather than later, considering the stifling heat that we're expecting. Around about 39 degrees centigrade expected to be the peak temperature today here in Tizzy. And look, this is a place that brings a little bit of everything. It is a festival of triathlon. The whole town really gets into this, and I know everybody really wants to see Songa Lehmann coming down the final stretch. Tilda Manson making moves again, just like her sister did earlier on today in the junior women's final, as Manson looks to once again be crowned Queen of Tiszaujvaros, as she was 2 years ago in that neck-and-neck finish with Noelia Juan.
babonások is hátra versenyeznek. Ne úgy utána. Csak a lépcsőre szabad rálépni, a többi helyen úszni kell, ne lépj le. Sőt, a lépcsőn is azt javasoljuk, hogy a lépcsőn a szőnyegezett részen közlekedjetek.
Hajrá, Nori!
Mi ez a csizma? Nagyon szexi.
3 család, Katona, Szalai és a Krokol család. Még egy száma képviseltethi magát. Amina már nyert is ma.
It's never over until it's over. That's what makes this series so exciting. It all comes down to this. It should be another incredible battle.
I didn't expect that.
Én vagyok.
A very good day to you all. You join us here in Tiszaujvaros in Hungary as we kick off what should be a superb packed day of World Triathlon action going through from the junior events this morning all the way to the elites later on in the day. The intensity will pick up as we go along, as will the heat as well, in a scorching Europe over the last few days or so. But we are racing. We will be underway, hopefully on time today. And the juniors should be providing plenty of excitement and have plenty of anticipation to be out there first in the water. Before we get into the start lists and everything that will be taking place on the route today, just a reminder, if you've never been here, that Tiszaujvaros is very much the home of triathlon here in Hungary. It is a wonderful festival of the sport throughout the weekend, with locals getting involved as much as the athletes themselves. Plenty of entertainment going on over the couple of days. And it is a town that has very much embraced this sport, taken it to its heart, and very much welcomed the arrival of the blue carpet every single year, particularly since it became a World Cup event in status once more a few years ago. And some of the best come here trying to compete. We certainly see the best of the Hungarian contingent over the weekend, that's for sure. Later on today, all eyes will be on Songa Lehmann as he looks to try and go back to back to back to back to back here, as he did last year, victorious once again on the top step of the podium here in Hungary. But as I say, before that, we get into the women who will be getting us underway in the junior category. 34 degrees centigrade already this morning here in Tiszaujvaros. Water temperature is warm indeed, to say the least. Not much humidity, which will help, although there is a little stickiness in the air. And the brief bits of cloud cover that we're going to see today are going to be vital for the athletes, along with all the support from the volunteers on the sideline and the coaches as well, particularly in getting out refreshments and hydration, even if the junior events aren't quite as long as we'll see with the elites later on. So let's have a look at the course map then. The swim for the juniors, 2 laps for them in the 250-metre long course, and the water in the middle of the park before they then head out onto the bike as well. It's a short bike course, 5 laps of 2.5 kilometres in total for the juniors, making up the 12.5 kilometres that they will need on the bike. There's that dead turn, but aside from that, it's fast, it's pacey. And then the run, 3 laps, making up 3.6 kilometres as they make their way through the parkland course down to the bottom of the park. A couple of tight turns, a few wiggles and weaves before they come down towards the blue carpet and the finish line.
Representing Hungary, Dr. Christina Kish.
Hannah Kennedy. 1 start, 1 win before Tiszaujvaros this year in the junior category. That came in Hammamet in an African Cup Junior Cup competition. And she has had a perfect start to her World Triathlon campaign in the junior category. Looks to make it to Hannah Manson as well, though. Great lineage, of course, with her sister Tilda doing a phenomenal job in the elite level and now competing with the very best on the World Triathlon Championship Series. And there's a few recognisable names when it comes to the junior women today. As Hannah Kennedy gets her introduction first. She is followed by Hannah Manson, someone who we will expect to see flying high at the top of the leaderboard. Hannah Manson and Gwen Watson comfortably ahead by around about 30 seconds of third place Nora Salai in the semi-final yesterday. Jasmine Kropko we've already seen go through, another one that we recognise the name, of course, from Marta Kropko and her position in the elite races and her ability in the water as well, which Jasmine has very much taken. Kaisa Keranen, the first of the Finnish contingent. There are 3 Finnish athletes in the race today, but it is predominantly a Hungarian cast for the junior women. Petra Ban as well, one to keep an eye on today. One of the fastest in the water, Petra Ban, yesterday, 6:39 in the water, just 4 seconds behind Jasmine Kropko in semi-final 1. And a couple from the Southern Hemisphere as well to watch out for. Addison Houslett, followed by Hayley Cornwall, the Australian and New Zealanders respectively, along with Gwen Watson, who impressed in her semi-final yesterday. They will be hoping to make an impression in the Northern Hemisphere heat. It's a great learning curve for some of these athletes as well, in terms of just preparing themselves for the push up into the elite ranks, maybe in a few years' time, coming to a place like Tiszaujvaros where there is a lot of atmosphere around these streets. There's a lot of support for the Hungarian athletes. And regardless of how they perform in this final today, it's a really good learning curve, maybe for some that are making their debut here, or at least one of their first appearances in the junior ranks at an event of this size.
Wearing number 25.
Maikkinen, the Finnish athlete, the last of the 3 Finns to make her way down towards the waterfront. The sides, the flanks of the start have been preferred certainly by the early athletes. Katabianca Nagy, Bernadette Nairi, and then the final 2 athletes from Slovenia and Slovakia will be making their way down to the waterside. Eva Korošek and Natasha Ivančíková.
Wearing number 31 today from Slovakia,
Charlotta Jurcová.
And now it's just the patient wait. The hard work from yesterday. Can it pay off in the water, on the bike and on foot today?
attention athletes, you are
And find out who was just looking to qualify and who was looking to make an impression yesterday. Always difficult to know if people have their foot on the gas for those semi-finals. As we are underway in Hungary, the junior women get us going to kick off action here on the final Sunday in Tiszaujvaros. And the carnage, as always, in a very tight and sometimes can be congested water in the middle of the park in the Hungarian town. Jasmine Kropko will be one of those looking to get herself early towards the front, along with Petra Ban, as we saw yesterday. Hannah Manson was quick as well in the water, just giving herself a little bit of separation early on in her semi-final yesterday. Certainly it looks like some of those are the first to make their way towards the front. And already you can see that there is a gap being created out there at the front. And try as soon as we can to put a name on the number.
Utána egy 5 körös 2,5 kilométeres körön fognak kerékpározni, ugyanúgy, mint tegnap, és 3 kör lesz a futás ezt követően. Nagyot a tulakodás az első fordítónál, amit
One of the things that they do here in Tiszaujvaros is rather than having 90-degree turns, they almost angle it around in this near horseshoe, this loop at the top of the swim course, which does mean that there's a little less congestion going around some of those buoys, but it doesn't help too much if you still get stuck on the inside. I wonder if that is Kropko just out at the front leading, maybe with Manson right on her heels there.
Mérőrendszer meg fogja tudni nekünk mondani, hogy milyen sorrendben jönnek ki a magyar lányok.
But it's a nice bit of separation they've got out at the front, those three.
Közismert, hogy Jászmin nagyon jó úszó a mezőnyben.
And they make their way down to the bottom. This is where the 90-degree turns do come in, and if you are stuck in a group, this is where the congestion is going to be felt going around these buoys. But it is rather strung out nicely. And it's very comfortable for the leaders. There you see Jasmine Kropko just there in second, just behind the athlete up at the front, which very easily could be Petra Ban. Anna Manson there as well, you see in the blue tri swimsuit, and making sure she's positioned herself nice and conveniently up at the front. Certainly can't win it on the swim, but you can certainly put yourself in a rather detrimental position and potentially lose it if you find yourself caught towards the back or struggling to work your way through the middle of the pack. And certainly, at least in that leading three, there's two of the key protagonists that we were expecting to see today. And there are now four that have certainly positioned themselves with a good 3 or 4 seconds of breathing room up at the front. So the leaders make this turn around the final buoy and then push towards the blue carpet out in front of them that leads them into transition and T1. It's a big margin now between that front four.
Jöhetlen egy taps, most már másodperceken belül kinn a vízből. Mezőny eleje.
Out of the water they go then. Petra Ban is the first out. Jasmine Kropko, Hannah Manson. Expected those three to be fast in the water, that's for sure. Eniko Hobor as well. Going with the contingent, and then the gaggle of bodies coming in behind them. Hannah Kennedy's still up into fifth, the Irish woman who started wearing the #1 cap today. Watson as well is meant to be in the hunt this morning and is in the thick of things, although 17 seconds back from the leaders. No messing around though from the leader. Petra Ban first on to the blue carpet and into transition. Useful as well for these four to have a healthy margin between them and the chasing pack. Around about 10 seconds, but 10 vital seconds to potentially get out of transition before it gets busy and clustered. And Ban is going to be first onto the bike. Closely followed by Kropko and Manson. Hobor as well. The leading four are out and underway. Hobor, a really useful asset to have out at the front in terms of her biking ability. She was fast yesterday in her semi-final, the first of the two semi-finals. She might be someone that looks to set the tone early on these first of the 5 short laps around the park, with the extension at the top of the course as well that takes you out to the dead turn. But she is just struggling at the moment to get onto the rear of the leading three. And that could change very quickly as Kropko has already asserted her position at the front. As I say, it is a fast bike course. There's a lot of potential for really putting the hammer down and driving in terms of picking up pace and speed. There's a couple of roundabouts that just have to be navigated, but aside from that, there should be a lot of room out there on course, and those that can go fast and furious on 2 wheels can make some good headway. It also means, though, that the leaders can quickly be caught by any high-caliber cyclists in the chasing pack as they come down to the dead turn already. Jasmine Kropko first to go through. Manson a little wide coming off that right edge. That bus stop that we see every single year here in Tiszaujvaros, so important for a little bit of extra width in just being able to take that dead turn a little faster for the athletes.
Az Isten faszát húzza be, vagy...
It's relatively evenly spread out, that's for sure. A number of little pockets of athletes rather than one big chasing pack so far. Kropko happy to take the initiative out at the front and do the work on her own right now. It's a good gap she's created for herself too. It'll be interesting to see how big that gap is when they come round and complete the first lap. And there'll be some adrenaline flying around. That will have hopefully worked its way through the system by the time they've left the water, but as soon as there's a bit of vocal support coming from the sidelines for the home athletes, it will kick in again a little bit and just drive those legs a little more. Zora Philip taking a turn at the front of this chasing three. Buglaka Gal as well in this group. It doesn't really look like anybody's trying to make up that ground on Kropko just yet. Look over the shoulder there from Hannah Manson, just to keep an eye on where the rest of the group is.
Mi van, mi történik? Hát az első kör végén Kropko Jászmin elmegy a többiektől egy egyéni menetben.
Kropko through first. It's a good lead she has ahead of Ban Manson, Hobor and Hannah Kennedy. I wonder if Hobor is just going to be encouraging Manson and Ban just to say, come on, let's get a foot down and let's make sure we don't let Jasmine Kropko break too far away at the front of this. It's a short run course and you don't necessarily want to let this lead edge out to anything around 20 seconds or so. That could be rather detrimental for the chase down. And that is the chasing group. Kropko already making her way to the dead turn further up the field. There are 5 or so that have got their sights on her. Ban Manson, Hobor, Kennedy, and Karina Katona as well in that chasing group. Hannah Kennedy was no slouch on the bike either yesterday. Just a couple of seconds slower than the other two fastest, Mira Mislay and Eniko Hobor in the semi-final yesterday. If Kennedy and Hobor can get themselves working along with the rest of that group, the other 3 that are chasing this woman, there is a chance to whittle away her lead, but she's looking very confident on that bike right now. Hannah Kennedy taking a turn up at the front. Manson right on that rear wheel. And there's a look from Kennedy there. Just wondering if anybody else is going to come and maybe take a turn up at the front, or if she's looking for others to come with her and support her in a chase down of Kropko. Around about 10 seconds at that first bike lap's end. The margin between first and second. Might be about similar in terms of the gap between first and the chasers. It's gone out by another 4 seconds. Kropko very happy and comfortable up at the front there. And worse for this chasing group of 5 is that more are joining them. Kieran and Philip and Gal all working hard to get on the back of the first chase group. Fabok Salai and others, along with Gwen Watson as well, of Australia, will be frustrated to be so far behind Kropko. Over 30 seconds now, the gap between first and their chase peloton. And these are the four that are looking to turn that chasing 5 behind Kropko into a chasing 9. Looks like they're probably about to do that.
The top 23 now, the first 23 is within a minute.
And that gap has suddenly come right down. Excellent work from these chasers to put themselves back into position as the first chase group has made that push. And not only that, but the group of Philip and Gal have also been able to join up behind Kurinen as well. This could suddenly get rather more clustered than I think Yasmin Kropko was hoping for. Very difficult to do it all on your own, all on alone at the front, and it's taken around 2.5 laps or so for Kropko to finally be caught. And a lot of that work goes down to Manson and Kennedy at the front of the chase group, as the leaders now all won a group of 10. But again, this will be a group that won't want the 10 to become more than that. Did have a sizable advantage over the leaders as Manson takes her turn up at the front. And they come down, they've gone past the park down to the left turn on the bike that takes them round to the second left turn and back up to that start finishing straight. Big wide areas, it's really nice and comfortable for these athletes. Take a lot of pace through these corners even though they're a near 90-degree turn. 2 seconds separating the top 10 as they go through. Doesn't really matter the order too much, but Elise Julia Guerri will be the one who is credited with leading them through. It's this chase group behind now. There's about 14 seconds. They've started to make up some of that gap. And the woman leading that, Senga Orsolia Sasa, is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. She was one of the fastest runners, in fact the fastest runner across both semi-finals yesterday on the run course. If she can get herself up within touching distance, she's got a really good chance of putting herself into a prominent position. She'll be wearing the number 9 today. Hannah Kennedy was fast on the run. Hannah Manson as well. Gwen Watson, who's a little further back, but still within 15 seconds of that leading group. Just wonder on this penultimate lap of the bike course if we will see somebody look to try and maybe break off from that leading 10. including the woman who's leading them through now to the turn, Jasmine Kropko. Not much separating those two groups now. Is there a chance that a top 10 almost becomes a top 20? It's certainly not 15 seconds anymore, is it? Zora Philip now driving them forward. And there's the encouragement too from Kaisa Keränen saying, come on, let's go through, let's get the hammer down and get the pedal to the metal, but other people have got to take their turn leading this group up at the front. You can perhaps understand why Jasmine Kropko isn't so eager to be out on her own up at the head of the leading group. Bunching together now. Lap 5, the start of it, is going to see the leaders and 20th separated probably by about just 3 seconds or so as they go through the timing point. Kropko again looking to go and maybe bring some others along with her. Just making a little bit of separation. Katona leads them through. Kropko right up there with them. Manson, Keränen too. Watson just off the rear of the group. We've got one that's dropped away. Dorka Ratz, I think it is, who's just fallen by the wayside in that chasing group. Unable to compete with the pace of the leaders up at the front. And that may well happen, particularly on a day like this, particularly as we get into the later races to junior men and of course the elite women and men as well. As Hannah Kennedy just gives herself a little bit of separation, and again there's a 5 or so at the front that are maybe just starting to eke out a little bit of a gap. Just feels like there's too much determination in the majority, though, of this pack who've worked so hard to get back on the rear wheel of these front ladies. Another one biting the dust on the rear of this leading group. Kennedy this time brings them through the turn. And you would like a little bit of separation if you're really fancying going for it here today in Tiszaujvaros. You would like that gap, just some space going into transition to get cleanly out on the run and be able to set an early pace that you fancy giving you a victory here today. Strung out down these long straights here in Hungary. Kennedy and Manson, the two victors from their respective semi-finals yesterday. 15 seconds separated Hannah Kennedy's finishing time from Hannah Manson. And it's going to come down in Tiszaujvaros to an exhilarating run course that provides a little bit of shade thanks to the trees in the park, but also provides a lot of hot pavement and tarmac to be running on. Down to the bottom of the bike course they come through. One more left-hand turn. And then it's all about thinking about transition. Shoes starting to be undone. Krupko's going to bring them through. No mistakes need to be made right now, getting off the bike and onto the blue carpet and into transition. Krupko is the leader, but there are plenty on her tail. Manson, Kennedy, both there, both expected to be fast. Salai as well. He wants to be fast but not overly rushed, smooth as they go out onto the run. Katona is the first to take the lead out at the front. Manson's lost quite a few seconds in transition, as has Kennedy. Three laps of the 1.2 kilometre course. Karina Katona, a woman who's struggled to make the top 20 finishes in Eurocup junior events. And right tucking in behind her is, as I say, the woman who looked so speedy on her legs yesterday, setting the fastest time on the run. Sazaz positioning herself and looking to take control of this run course. Zach Manson just down there in between, behind the initial group of four. Krupko there in the bucket hat, just providing some protection from the sun. Houslip, the Australian, up there as well, along with Cornwall, the athlete from New Zealand. But it's Saz who makes her way to the very front of the leaders, and will hope that she can produce a similarly dominant performance on her legs as we saw yesterday in the run. Even though she didn't win her semi-final, it was a marker set down to make sure that she qualified for today's final, buoyed by the home support on home soil. But as you'd expect perhaps to see, Yasmin Krupko tucking right in behind her. Houslip and Cornwall, did they save their best till last for today for the final? Katona just falling away from the athletes from the Southern Hemisphere. Kerenen maybe trying to position herself in a spot to be able to attack as Sazaz goes to the left and Krupko goes to her right to take water. Much needed hydration in these high temperatures that we've been experiencing all across Europe over the last few days. and it will not be cooling off today. And Kropko just hasn't quite stayed on the heels of Sad's Ether up at the top. Houslip has separated herself away from Cornwall. Manson at the front of the largest chasing group, but Saz has now put herself in a position to have a lot of separation at the start of lap 2 and give herself the room away from Kropko. Those two have really distanced themselves from the rest of the field. Is it maintainable for the Hungarian athlete at the front? At this rate, it certainly looks like it could be. Salai, and perhaps we expected to see a little further towards the front. Way back down there. And nowhere near being in contention with certainly the leading group, let alone the leading lady right now. Who has left Kropko well and truly behind her. These two looking untouchable for first and second.
There's the rest of the field coming through now.
Just keep an eye though on Fabok and Manson. Manson's the one who's making the push away from the rest of that group. Cornwall's dropped back. Keranen is still there in the hunt for maybe a third place push. The only question will be at this point is, has Saz gone too early? And is there any sort of rebuttal going into the final lap and the last 1.2 kilometres from the woman sat in second, Yasmin Kropko? Or does perhaps Kropko just have to be aware of what's maybe coming behind her? It looks like the gap is still far enough away from Manson and co behind her. Big puff there. But still looking very strong. Made that move early at the start of this second lap. And now it's about just maintaining that gap and holding on at the front.
Here they come, finishing the second lap, the penultimate one before the final 1.2 kilometers. To earn the title this year's Junior European Cup in Tiszaujvaros.
love these long shots down the road. Really gives you a scope of not just the gap between the leaders, but it gives us a great idea of who potentially can start to close on those gaps as well. As you see, once more, Manson starting to push just behind Kropko. I say just, there's still a fair few seconds separating those two. Well, that gap has doubled now between the leader and Yasmin Kropko. But Kropko still has a good 10 seconds plus of breathing room. The fight for third is going to be very interesting indeed between Katona, Fabok and Manson. That might be where we get the most drama. Those three athletes separated by just 3 seconds or so. We've seen Anna Manson's sister, Tilda Manson, in some very exciting finishes here in Tiszaujvaros over the years. We might have another one again later on today with the elite women. Senga Orsolya Saz. Can't stick it into cruise control mode just yet, but she's shown a pace that it very much looks like she can maintain as Katona and Manson continue their duel for the final spot on the podium. Katona's taken the initiative. There is not much left in this one for her to do. The battle for third continues. Kropko is safe and sound, it looks like, in second. Caught in the middle of this cat and mouse game. And the leading lady. But this is the battle to keep an eye on. Will the Swede try and prevent Hungary from having all 3 spots on the podium here in Tiszaujvaros? Saz has already made her turn. Just one more turn to go for the leader, and then she can look up and see a finishing line. Blue carpet in front of her and potentially a gold medal, barring any incredible late drama. The last bit of hydration can be taken. It's ignored, though, by both of those two in the fight for third. They don't want anything to break their stride. I think they both realise, Katona and Manson, that it's going to be a fast, frantic finish. The timing of who makes the last move to go and steal that third spot is going to be so important. No such worries for this lady, though. Senga Orsolya Saz. As Manson starts to make the move in the fight for third. A look over the shoulder. Can Katona stay with her? It looks like she can, and she's fighting back. It's handshakes down the final straight for Saz. Manson driving behind in the battle for third as Saz takes the junior gold in Tiszaujvaros. Yasmin Krotko's going to take second, but who will take third? Manson or Katona? Manson or Katona? The Swede may just have it, but neither can afford to let up. It's Manson by a sliver. Saz takes first, Krotko second, and Hannah Manson, just as her sister did for gold 2 years ago in the elite race, is just by a shoelace able to take third place. Esther Favok comes in fifth behind her fellow countrywoman. It's an all-Hungarian top 7 aside from Hannah Manson. Kaisa Keranen coming in 8th in the end. Alice Jerry followed closely by Hannah Kennedy. Did well in the semi-finals yesterday, but not today. What is it about the Mansons and Tiszaujvaros that just leads to excitement and drama? Kennedy making up the top 10, Zora Phillip 11th, Hayley Cornwall coming in 12th, Petra Ban as well, who we knew could be one of those right up there if her swim could get her in the mix. Didn't really happen in the end today. Coming in 13th place, Gwen Watson, another who impressed in the semi-finals yesterday, 14th, and the top 15 finished out by Kara Dobrovsky. Really important now in these soaring temperatures for these athletes to get hydrated immediately, take on electrolytes. There'll be some that have left almost nothing in the tank to try and put themselves in those top 10 positions, especially. Heartache for Karina Katona, who would have loved to have been on the podium and make it an all-Hungarian trio up there on those steps.
Tiszaujvaros a győztes ideje 41-11. Fantasztikus idő.
Great to see so many supporters down by the finishing line to take it all in and enjoy the start of the day's action that we hope is setting a tone for what is to come later on in the junior men and the elite men and women here in Tiszi. If we can get similarly exciting finishes for those podium spots later today, well, we will have a glutton of drama and be spoilt for choice as you get confirmation of those finishes coming across your screen now. Some are enjoying their moment on the blue carpet, taking the applause and the handshakes. Greta Haiju taking the acclaim from the supporters as she hits the finishing straight.
Rövid nagy menet volt.
Cold towels aplenty required.
A törököknek harangozta. Figyelj, negyed óra múlva fiúrajt. Ki szeretné megnézni?
So confirmation that Senga or Solia Saz able to take top spot on the podium. Yasmin Kropko comfortable in the end in second place, and Hannah Manson beating out Corina Katona in the fight for third. Hungarian flags dominating the finishing board, as is always expected in the junior event here in Tiszi.
Csenge, Junior European Cup title, congratulations in 2026. Gratulálunk a győzelemhez. Milyen volt ez a hőség? Mesélj erről. How did you feel about this heat? You had to keep away the distance from the second place in the run.
Köszönöm szépen. Hát igen, elég meleg idő volt, de így készültem már hetek óta. Tudtam, hogy ilyen lesz az idő, és mindent megtettem annak érdekében, hogy ne fáradjak el a meleg miatt. Frissítettem is rendesen, úgyhogy...
Okay, so I was ready for the weather, and this was part of the training. She wanted to make sure that the fluid intake and all the nutrition was in par what needed to be happening.
Igen. Igen, és köszönöm szépen a szurkolást. Ez volt életem 7. Európa kupája körülbelül, és nagyon örülök, hogy sikerült elhozni az első helyet. Eddig sose volt lehetőségem az első bolyban leszállni, így most végre meg tudtam mutatni, hogy tudok futni.
Óriási volt. So 7 European Cups and now a title. This was really a crownation of all the work that she has done. Látunk világkupán. Are we going to see you in a World Cup soon?
Igen, szeretném, természetesen.
This is a plan. So thank you very much. Congratulations one more time. Fantastic work.
Köszönöm szépen a szurkolást.
Azok már igen, hogy 8 kör a 3 kör az úszás ugyanúgy, a bicikli az 8 és
Van bipes tudszod, nem? Bipes számod van.
Van képet adjatok, mert most írja a passz.
Just remind ourselves how it all took place out there in the heat of Tiszaujvaros for the junior women's race. Into the water they went in a rather crowded start initially, but things would quickly spread themselves out. Petra Ban, Yasmin Kropko and Hannah Manson, the leaders early on.
It's never over until it's over. That's what makes this series so exciting. It all comes down to this. It should be another incredible battle.
I didn't expect that.
2-5-3 körök számát tekintve minden bele. Hajrá, magyarok! Ugye a magyar popszakmában, hasonlóan a magyar triatlonhoz, női benévvel vannak elváltva, például Rózsi becenevét, ugye mindenki tudja, és nálunk Ica becenevét is mindenki ismeri, férfiakról beszélek ennek ellenére.
Welcome back to Tiszaujvaros. The junior women have always provided a great deal of entertainment to kick things off on these final Sundays of a competition. The junior men now get set to get underway, taking in this well-known course for all those triathlon fans who have followed this event over the years. 2 laps in the water making up the 500 metres before they go out onto the bike course. 5 laps of the 12.5 kilometre course that we always have on this Sunday. Fast, furious, 1 dead turn. Difficult if you're in a bunch group, quite simple if you're out there on your own or in a breakaway. And then into transition for the 3 laps of the run course that takes in the park, around the water, back out onto the streets and around the bottom where the aid station is. Plenty of hydration will be required as the temperatures continue to rise here in Tisza. And blue carpet and a victor to be found. Daniel Hershkovich was one that impressed very much yesterday. Although he, Luis Miguel Chavez Sanchez and Anton Matteo all finished on the exact same time in their semi-final, the first of the semi-finals yesterday. 9 of the top 10 in semi-final 1 finished in a sub-35-minute time. No one in either of the other semi-finals was able to compete with that. That may just set a tone for those that were in semi-final 1 yesterday of perhaps been at least stronger on the Saturday. Will it pay dividends and prove to be the case on the Sunday? And that man certainly hopes so. Daniel Hershkovich. But there is going to be some competition from the likes of Eza Tomka.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the race technical official
And Zomba Holba. Holba experienced 6th in the Hungarian National Championships in the elite race.
Leading the technical team today are technical delegate Dag Oliver, Norway.
Don't sleep on the likes of Luis Miguel Chavez Sanchez, as I say, another one who's got a lot of experience in terms of being involved in these sorts of events. And there is some really good junior quality down there in the men's ranks. Sabos as well, Mihaly Marton and Levinen Sabo respectively wearing the 10 and 12. All the home supporters want to see is Hungarian on the top of that podium.
Döntő résztvevőit a 2026-os Tiszaujvárosi Europe Triathlon Európa Kupa mezőnyében.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the final junior man athletes of the 2026 Europe Triathlon Junior Cup Tiszaujvaros.
1-es rajtszám Izrael.
Wearing number 1 from Israel,
Daniel Hershkovich.
So Daniel Hershkovich takes the acclaim of some of the travelling contingent. Humba Holba will get a slightly warmer reception, you imagine, from the home fans, as will Eza Tomka.
Mexico.
wearing number 4 from Mexico,
Luis Miguel Chavez Sanchez. 5-ös Magyarország Marádi Gergő.
Comes in with some impressive form, Luis Miguel Chavez Sanchez.
Australia,
Oliver Moxon.
Had a podium in the North American Junior Championships in La Paz earlier this year. Anybody that knows anything about competing in any sport in La Paz knows how difficult it is with the thinner air at altitude to produce your best at that level.
10-es Magyarország Szabó Mihály Márton. 11-es Izrael
wearing number 11 from Israel,
Liran Peltzman.
Liran Peltzman, 20th here in Tisza last year.
Szabó Levente.
Has a fourth to his name in a Euro Cup junior event last year back in August. His best result to date. Would love to put himself on the podium.
Wearing number 15, a neutral athlete.
Arthur Bigadin, another one with a handful of starts on the World Triathlon Series events to his name. Won the Euro Cup junior event back in October in Alanya.
Wearing number 19, representing Israel.
Michael Hershkovich makes his way down onto the waterfront. Doesn't get spoilt for choice like Daniel Hershkovich was, leading them out, wearing the number 1.
From Mexico.
Brazil, Giovanni Munoz Don. 22-es, Israel.
Wearing number 22, from Israel.
Omri Margalit. 23-as, Mexico.
Again, it's the wider positions down on the water that seem to be preferred by those that get the opportunity to go out first and position themselves for the start.
Wearing number 25, representing Slovenia.
Max Mori. 26-os, Ukrajina.
Wearing number 26, from Ukraine.
Arsen Adamov. 27-es, Magyarország, Ábrahám Szabolcs. 28-as, Ukrajna.
Wearing number 28, from Ukraine.
Fedor Bezlatkin. 29-es, Izrael.
Wearing number 29, from Israel.
Tomer Goy. 30-as, ugyancsak Izrael.
And the last few athletes, Damir Sarid and Aaron Boditz, make their way down.
31-es, Magyarország. Bódis Áron.
These incredible drone shots show off the pristine conditions for racing in terms of the sunny backdrop and the warm water in front of these athletes. It's going to be a slog though out on the bike and out on the run. We know that already from what we've seen in the women's event that kicked off the action on final Sunday here in Tiszaujvaros. Plenty of youngsters to keep your eye on here in this junior group. Plenty that have the potential.
Attention athletes, you are now in the hands of the starters.
And the junior men are underway then out in the water. Second of our junior races gets going, and the important thing again will be who can find some distance early on and find some clear water. It's not as tight as some other triathlons in terms of those first corners. It allows the field to spread out a little. It does get tighter though around those two yellow buoys you see just there in the background and foreground of your screen. Those are the 90-degree turns. Keep an eye on Andras Suks, who was one of the fastest in the water yesterday in semi-final 1, but Ollie Moxon, the Australian, without a doubt the fastest, along with Jaden Levy-Silva and Amir Sarid, wearing the 6, 18 and number 30 caps respectively, all came out of semi-final 2 yesterday, all with blistering pace, the 3 fastest times in the water of the day yesterday. The three fastest swimmers in every single semi-final yesterday all did make the cut for today's final. Omri Margalit, the closest one to not making it, wearing the number 22 for the final today. He was up there with the fastest swimmers, was the first out of the water in semi-final 3 yesterday. There's a couple of pockets which are going to be ill-afforded much room going around the first 90-degree turn as they reach the first of the yellow buoys here on lap 1. Mihaly Martin Sabo, I think that is, leading them through in the number 10 cap. '18th here in the junior men's race in 2025, and Sabo does get them round the first buoy with relative ease. Less can be said for those following behind him. Not finding too much separation, but there are certainly 2 or 3 at the front that have found a little bit of daylight out in the water. No need to be risking the kicking heels of anybody in front of you. It's all quite confident right now for Szabo out there in front. I have to say as well, for the Hungarian athletes, even just leading a group through into transition, being the fastest in the water, that will be a feather in the cap regardless of what happens elsewhere on the race. But those out there in the water should be worried about the pace that Szabo was able to put down on the bike and on the run as well yesterday. Set some really solid markers in his semi-final, a 10:03 on the run. He was up there with the fastest as well, out there on 2 wheels in his semi-final, 3rd fastest on the bike. If he's positioning himself at the front from the get-go, that could be a sign that he's not messing around today here in Tisza, and he wants to be involved right at the front from start to finish. Last left turn. Szabo will lead them through. And it's going to be a busier transition for the leaders than we saw perhaps with the first 4 or so out of the water for the junior women. In fact, it's Sarid, excuse me, who's the one who's able to lead them out of the water. I thought it was a number 10, but it's the number 30 of Amir Sarid. Bag it in as well. pushing them through. Oliver Moxon, the Australians, one to keep an eye on up there, was very strong in his semi-finals yesterday. Bigadin first then out of transition and onto the bike. Moxon right up there. It's a strong stable of Israeli athletes on their heels. Chavez as well too, right in the mixer going out onto the bike. Szabo way down in the end, but 30 seconds can be made back if he's in the middle of a group that's willing to fight to get back onto the front. Daniel Hershkovich was around about 24 seconds behind the leaders in 15th coming through. As the neutral athlete Bigadin making light work, but as we saw earlier on today, it doesn't take much for these gaps of 14 odd seconds that get put out early on to be whittled away. You could easily see this strung out group from the roundabout down to the dead turn become one in the first few laps of this bike. Won his last event, did Artur Bigadin, on the World Triathlon stage. That was a junior event on the Euro Cup in Alanya. Was 35th in Wollongong in the junior champs back at the end of 2025. Some good pedigree around his name. And there's some real possibilities here today for him. And the Hershkovich is at the back of a chasing group. Bigadin has been joined by others very quickly. No solo push, that's for sure. Group of around 10 or so up at the front. How well will they work together? That will be an interesting one. Andras Suks, one of the excellent swimmers from yesterday, finds himself just on the rear of that group. Omri Margalit is going to bring them through. Andras Suks, Margalit, Holber, Bigadin, Sarid, Chavez, Moxon, Stiebel, Isaac. That's the top 10. Maradi is being dropped away and back into the clutches of the chasing group. Antonin Matteo, and part of those chasers. So the next number really to think about is about 18 seconds, the gap between 12th and 1st. How much can the chasing group do, and how much can this leading group do to reduce or widen that? And we saw a few anxious faces in the women's leading groups in terms of trying to push the tempo, some looking for others to come to the front and support and help on that bike push that never really came, and it was quite a large group of around 20 athletes or so that came into transition before going out on the run all as one. And there's the urgency being expressed at the front of these groups. Everybody asking the question of the others, who's going to come and take the lead? Amir Sarid looking around, wondering who's going to take that leading spot off him as the chase group continue to try and push themselves. As I say, 18 seconds separating the leaders and the start of this chase group last time round. We saw around 14 seconds pretty much vanish earlier today from the start of a lap to by the time we got down to the dead turn. Again, the question being asked up at the front. Oliver Moxon happy to sit and settle towards the back.
Jó! Nézzük az üldözőket, mi a különbség? Talán kicsit közelebb, nem? 20 másodperc,
So there you see Antonin Mathieu, 20 seconds. The gap has gone up a little, around about 20 odd seconds or so, separating Moxon and the Frenchman at the rear of the leading group and the start of the chasing pack. A gap that's been nicely maintained by the leaders, albeit without too much communication and rotation up at the front. And there is a lot of discussion, as you can see there, from a number of the athletes, and a growing frustration about those sitting a little further back. More than entitled to race your own race, though. Mathieu brings the chasing group round the dead turn. They're just fighting for a little bit of room suddenly, and means the brakes have to be put on a touch tighter, going around the most difficult part of the bike course. As the leaders again string out on these fast sections, Chavez up there towards the front now. Is that the first time really so far that we've seen Moxon making his move to the front? Has had a few races in the elite category in his career, Ollie Moxon, and the Australian. We saw the ladies from the Southern Hemisphere struggling in the heat out there on the run, but both were good on the bike in the women's juniors earlier today in Howslip and Cornwall. How hard is this chase group working? We've not seen as much dissension in the ranks as we've seen from the leaders. They'll get the word, they'll get the nod about what that gap is like. Again, 20 odd seconds. You wouldn't want to be much further back here on this fast and brief run course. The leading 10 separated by a second or two. Moxon's again slotted into the rear of that group. Stays at about 20 seconds. Antonin Mathieu is doing his best to lead them through again. Pretty simple, the instructions from the coaches down there. Extended officially to 24 seconds, the gap between Moxon and the chasing group. 2 laps to go. Could all fall away and become a very fragile lead very quickly. Miss Sarich still working hard at the front. Margalit as well. The 2 Israeli athletes as they make their way round the dead turn for the penultimate time. It's quite nice as well for the athletes on that dead turn because they can get a good look, a good sighter of exactly how far back the chasing group is. The only thing aside from that zebra crossing is there's not much really to help you work out if that gap has gone up or not. Tomagai brings the chasers round. Sabo's still there in the thick of that chase group. The worrying thing for some of these leaders as well is that both Daniel and Michael Hershkovich are in that chase group. Michael, the only athlete to go under 10 minutes, pushing hard to book his spot in the final today at 9:49. Same couldn't be said in that third semi-final for Adam Toth. One of the fastest runs of yesterday, but unable to use it to his advantage to get himself a spot in the final on Sunday. His weekend ending early. There were some that were really having to work hard. Of course, 3 semi-finals rather than the 2 that the junior women have here in Tiszaujvaros. Means there are a few less spots in each semi-final for the athletes to try and grab. 12th will not cut the mustard the majority of the time. So the leaders through again. Last lap of the bike. last time to try and ensure that they can maintain this advantage against the chasing pack that I think are falling a little further behind now. Great work from these 10 at the front. Maybe just a little break being encouraged by some that have had enough of hanging around. Yeah, that last lap just extending the gap to 36 seconds. Matteo leading once again the chasing group through, but lap 4 of 5 on the bike has proved to potentially be pivotal in deciding the outcome, at least, of the podium spots. You would imagine that all three are going to come from the leading group unless this chase group can react in kind on this final lap of the bike. Be surprised if they were able to. You can tell now, and the leaders will be able to tell now, that that gap has gone out by a sizable margin on that 4th lap of the bike. It's going to take a Herculean effort for any of these athletes to have a chance at putting themselves around the top 5 or so. And the run is so often deciding things, but both the swim and the bike really do a great job here in Tizzy of shuffling the pack. There's an encouragement once again for others to take their lead at the front from Sarid, I think that is. Kender Kirchhoff happy to boost, and again Sarid asking others who's coming with us. He's been up at the front of this group for a long time, but I think that was just there. Baigedin taking his turn now, and there will be some that will want to be a little closer to the front of this group as they start to think about transition. Maybe it's not too far away now, just 2 left turns and onto the blue carpet and onto the run course. Chavez sat at the back. Moxon there tucked in towards the middle. Bad news for some of the chasers is that Sabo and Maradi have been awarded 5-second time penalties for contact in the swim as the leaders finish up on the bike and move into transition, and we've got a fall there. Was that Kender Kirchhoff just having a stumble coming into the blue carpet? That's not going to help matters at all for him. Disastrous for the Hungarian. Hopefully he's okay and it's not going to affect his ability out there on the run. And the gap's gone out a little bit more as well at the end of the 5th bike lap for that chasing group. Around about 40 seconds now away from the leaders. Adrasuks, the first one through T2. Matteo's fast, the Frenchman, but how fast is he? I don't know if he's 40 seconds fast over 3 laps. Holber and Sooks, the front two. Chavez and Moxon tucked in just behind with others. Keep an eye as well on Bigadin. And Holber already just looking like he's struggling slightly to stay with the leader.
אתם 25 שניות מהמובילים. צאו! הלאה, 32.
Hershkovich going through.
הלאה, אלירן, 36 שניות
Both
מהמובילים.
the Hershkoviches have got good runs in them as well, as shown yesterday, but might be all too much already. Jaden Levy-Silva, wearing the number 18, has unfortunately had to drop out in first transition. Sarid, who did so much work up at the front on the bike's been left in the lurch, well behind now of the leaders. Holber and Sooks, the two at the front. Holber still just able to stick with him. Well, he showed us what he could do in the water yesterday, Sooks. It wasn't one of the faster runs or bikes of the day, however, in his semi-final. Didn't need to be either, though. Comfortably finding a spot in today's final and comfortably finding a spot at the front of the field. Just a second separating the front two. 12 seconds, though, further back now, Bigadin. Chavez, Kirchhoff and Moxon trying to stay with them. Bigadin's got a lot to do to get up to those front two. He's going to have a lot on his plate as well when it comes to the battle for third. If it stays that close between those 3 or 4 athletes back there, it's the second of the 3 laps on this run, though, for the leading two. We've got no sign yet of slowing down. Holber still just a few paces behind the leader, still just staying on him, but not quite in his shadow. And how's that gap as well from Bigadin? Still sizable. Bigadin just relinquishing the front of the chasers. Holber not quite hanging on to Suksnap. So he's watching the leader start to launch away. A young man who has competed at the elite level in his career. He's got a lot of experience on the World Triathlon calendar. And these junior events in particular, still yet no win under his belt. And he's just over a kilometre or so away from changing that. Little push from Kasper Itzak, but then once again relinquishing to Kende Kirchknopf. Six seconds now, the gap over Holber. He's just given himself 5 more seconds of distance at the start of this final lap. It's suddenly looking very comfortable, isn't it? Only himself can let him down. Only himself can prevent him from finding that first win. Is there any late reaction from Holber? Or is this young man just going to lead this run from start to finish? Able to lap a few was once again Kende Kirchknopf has kept himself out in front in the chase for third place. This is going to be a frantic finish between he, Ishak and Baigedin. It's once again Baigedin just making a push. You can hear almost the screams coming for Kirchknopf to be told that there is a push coming late on for that podium spot. Once again, is somebody going to spoil the party of a all-Hungarian top 3? And is that the race for third that has caught the race for second as Holber relinquished that lead suddenly? No chance of that happening for the leader. Suks has made that final turn and has daylight in front of him. But what about the battle for the rest of the podium? Looks like Itzak's dropping off. A look over the shoulder of the leader. Happy to take the adulation. A superb run around the park. It was a walk in the park, really, for this young man. Andras Suks takes first place in the junior men in Tiszaujvaros. Zomba Holba comfortably in second, a beaming smile to have that silver medal. And what an unbelievable charge from the Frenchman. Antonin Mathieu, an incredible run. 40-odd seconds back of the leaders. He's made up so much ground out there on the tarmac with his two legs to eclipse Kirknop and Baigedin. In the race for third, the Frenchman upsets the all-Hungarian party on the podium. Frustration for others. Chavez will perhaps feel that, considering the position he put himself in, there was a better run left in his tank. You see the frustration from him and Moxon as well as they cross the finishing line, although Moxon may well just be hurting from the temperatures out there. But a superb performance from our Victor. As Amir Sarid is able to finish in the top 15, much to his adulation and joy at the end of the run there.
Outstanding run.
We have to say, in terms of the performance of the day overall, there can only be one person, that'd be Andras Suks. But in terms of the run, Antonin Mathieu, unbelievable performance to find himself in third place. A 3:26 on that final lap. Nearly 20 seconds faster than the leaders. That was grit and determination in some tough conditions to really put the hammer down like that.
Matthew in third position.
The Hershkoviches smile and pose for the photo. They may not be too elated about their finish in the end, considering their performances yesterday. Daniel coming in 16th and Michael in 19th, but it's still top 20 performances in Tizzy, Suks, Holber and Mathieu, though. The top three beating out Baigedin for the podium spots. Now you see confirmation of Daniel Hershkovich and Michael Hershkovich inside the top 20. Gogo Maradi wrapping up our top 20 here today. And in a moment we should be able to hear from our winner down there in the scorching heat. Nice to get it done and dusted early on in the day and enjoy the rest of the festival, I'm sure, for Andras Suks.
Hárommal előre jön a bringa után, Bódi Zsáron futásban. Még egy ukrán fiú, ha jól látom, a sárga-kéket. Az ukrán nemzeti logó színeit. Csipkovszki. Zakar, egyéb a keresztneve, Ukrajna versenyzője tehát a célban.
The last of the athletes out there on course starting to make their way through in drips and drabs. Aviator Getz still waiting to come through. Here is our winner.
Tiszaujvaros of Hungary, you're the champion just like in the women's field. Fantastic performance. Nagy gratulálok, szívből gratulálok, magyar győzelem a nőknél és itt a fiúknál is. Milyen volt ez a verseny? Mondj két szót.
Thank you very much. It was very hard race. In the beginning of the swimming, it was a bit chaos in the beginning, but after the first buoy, I tried to move forward, and it was good. In the beginning of the bike, I was in the first group already, and we worked together. I wouldn't say the chemistry was 100% good, but we worked together and we could prove our leading. And in the beginning of the run, my plan was to break away earlier, and I think I did it well. And my only goal was to win this race because this is my first European Cup where I'm on the podium.
Well, I witnessed your performances throughout the years. I personally know you, so this is close to my heart as well. Can we see you later on? What is your aspiration? Can we see you in a World Cup soon, do you think?
Yeah, I think next year, in the beginning of the year, I was in my first World Cup in Lanzarote. I wouldn't say that was the best, but actually it was a good race. So in the future, I will try to race as much as I can in the bigger races.
Fantastic. I wish you all the best. If you keep up the progression that you have been so far in the past years, you will make it. I will be watching, and thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
So confirmation of the junior men's finish then. Andras Suks with a phenomenal performance out there on the run, along with Zomba Holbar, who held his own to finish second with a comfortable margin ahead of the storming Frenchman Antonin Mathieu. Confirmation of our 29 finishers in the junior men.
Attention athletes of the Junior European Cup division, we are kindly asking you to proceed to the transition area for removing your equipment. Once again, junior athletes, please go to.
And we have to clear everything up, of course, as you can probably hear on the public address system. And we can clear up exactly what happened in the junior men's event that we've just seen out into busy water for the 2 laps of the swim. Amir Sarid, the first out of the water, the Israeli athlete. Good day for him. He was one of those up at the front of the bike as well that was encouraging that early pack to get away from this chase pack. It's exactly what they did eventually. The last 2 laps of the bike were very pivotal. There you see there Sarid out at the front, giving that exchange to some of the athletes to come and help out and support and push the pace. But as soon as they got into transition 2, it was all about the run of Andras Suks. Had Holber shadowing him by a second or 2 and the end of the first lap, but by the end of the second he'd added so much to his advantage, and it was a comfortable 3rd lap as well, just continuing the pace to take gold. Well, that's the racing done and dusted from the junior categories. We will be back in a few moments' time for the medal presentations.
Máma,
a kamerát? Ja, értem. De majd utána...
Nehogy baj legyen.
De nézd már ki.
Építkezz, amit építőből Hölgyeim és uraim! Tisztelettel köszöntöm Önöket a 2026-os Tiszaujvárosi Junior Triathlon Európa Kupa női versenyének díjátadó ünnepségén.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the women's medal ceremony of the 2026 Europe Triathlon Junior Cup Tiszaujvaros.
Well, welcome back to Tiszaujvaros as we get ready for the medal ceremonies for the junior women and junior men. We've provided plenty of entertainment already on this final Sunday of what is always an action-packed weekend.
Az érmeket és a virágokat átadja dr. Bihari Zoltán, országgyűlési képviselő.
The awards will be presented by Dr. Zoltán Bihari, member of Hungarian Parliament.
Pap Zsolt, Tiszaujváros alpolgármestere.
And Zsolt Pap, Vice Mayor of Tiszaujvaros.
A harmadik helyezett és ezzel a kupa bronzérmese Svédország versenyzője.
In third place and the winner of the bronze medal representing Sweden,
Hanna Mansson. Második helyezett, és ezzel a kupa ezüstérmese Magyarország versenyzője.
in second place and the winner of the silver medal representing Hungary,
Robko Jászmi.
Hannah Manson and Yasmin Kropko taking their bronze and silver medals respectively. Never really on the run had a chance to compete for first in the end, but never was pressured by Manson. Manson had to fight hard for that third place, of course.
2026-os Tiszaujvárosi Junior Triathlon Európa Kupa győztese Magyarország versenyzője.
Gold medalist and the winner of the 2026 Europe Triathlon Junior Cup Tiszaujvaros, representing Hungary,
Csenge Orsolya.
Csenge Orsolya Szász with the victory, though. Really impressive out in the front of that group for the whole of that race. On the run and established her dominant position early on, coming out of transition. And she'll be so pleased to have found a victory on home soil as well.
A győztes tiszteletére hallgassuk meg Magyarország nemzeti himnuszát.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you can for the national anthem of Hungary.
Jöhet a taps és az ünneplés. Kérem a versenyzőket, lépjenek föl a dobogó legfelső fokára. Sajtófotók hadd készüljenek. Szóljon a taps! Szép a bányó!
Three very worthy podium finishers.
Thank you very much.
And another thrilling finish to add to the Manson family name in Tisza.
Kedves közönségünk, azonnal folytatjuk. Kérem, maradjanak velünk. A férfi verseny eredmény hirdetése következik, és érdekességképpen mondom, hogy a férfi eredmény hirdetés után az Európai Triathlon Szövetség
junior men will get their spots on the podium.
És ennek az ajándék átadására is sort kerítünk az eredmény hirdetés után.
We are going to continue our ceremony momentarily. Following that ceremony, we'll be presenting the local government and the organization committee with some tokens of appreciation also.
Hölgyeim és uraim, tisztelettel köszöntöm Önöket a 2026-os Tiszaujvárosi Junior Triathlon Európa Kupa férfi díjátadó ünnepségén.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the men's medal ceremony of the 2026 Europe Triathlon Junior Cup Tiszaujvaros.
There certainly was a name on this podium that at the start of the run maybe a few weren't expecting to see. Andras Suks, however, though, he's showing his quality throughout the entire event and establishing himself in a very dominant position at the front of the pack.
Az Európai Triathlon elnökségi tagja.
The medals and the flowers will be presented by Vlad Stoica, Europe Triathlon Executive Board Member,
és Kindl Gábor, a Magyar Triathlon Szövetség elnöke.
and Gabor Kindl, President of Hungarian Triathlon.
Harmadik helyezett, és ezzel a kupa bronz érmese Franciaország versenyzője.
In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal, representing France,
Antonin Mathieu.
What an incredible run from the Frenchman at the end. A long way back at the start of it, but able to come from almost nowhere and put himself in the third place position. He's making a habit of finding these podiums, isn't he?
A második helyezett, és ezzel a kupa ezüst érmese Magyarország versenyzője.
in second place, and the winner of the silver medal, representing Hungary,
Holba Zsombor.
Zsombor Holba. Another podium, another second place. Still waiting for that first win. Surely it's a matter of time. Back on the second spot of the podium as he was in Bled last September.
Aranyérmes. És ezzel a 2026-os Tiszaujvárosi Junior Triathlon Európa Kupa győztese Magyarország versenyzője.
gold medalist and the winner of the 2026 Europe Triathlon Junior Cup Tiszaujvaros, representing Hungary,
Szűcs András.
Andras Suks takes the top step. A young man who many feel has a very strong future ahead of him. And will we see him coming to dominate, such as Songa Lehmann has done in Tiszaujvaros in the elite level over the next few years? Only time will tell, but it's a great moment for him now and a great moment for Hungarian
Ladies and
triathlon.
gentlemen, please rise if you can for the national anthem of Hungary.
tapsoló zenére. Lépjetek fel a dobogóra, Antonin és Zsombi, fel az első helyre.
Chance to see all three together on the top step of the podium for the photo op. No champagne yet for the juniors. That will come in good time. And that will do us for the moment here in Tisza in terms of the action. There's plenty more to come though with the elite men and women in a few hours' time. All the juniors' bikes and equipment has to be cleared away, and we get ready for what will very much be the climax of the event here in Tisza. Until then, we will catch you later on this afternoon.
It's never over until it's over. That's what makes this series so exciting. It all comes down to this. It should be another incredible battle.
I didn't expect that.